Things are not always what they seem. Obvious, I suppose. This video is, I guess I'm putting it out there for people who are new to role-playing, who are learning a game system maybe for the first time, or for one of their first times to do so, and additionally for those experienced players and game masters who may encounter these newcomers. I have a few pieces of advice. The first one, the main one, things aren't always what they seem. But to break that down, my first piece of advice would be to be willing to make your own mistakes, and for those who are eager to help you, to let the newcomer make their own mistakes. I'll explain that later. Second piece of advice is to be willing to explore the rules as written, and if you are in a position to help them, to let them explore the rules as written. And the last piece of advice is to be willing to spend enough time learning. Don't be in such a rush to get to the next change that you think might be necessary. One of the role-playing game sites I like to participate on is the RPG Stack Exchange, and one of the reasons why I like it is that it's restricted to being a question and answer forum. It's not a community per se. So if someone comes in with a question, it's evaluated based on its fact and experience-based response to the question posed, such as, how do you handle an attack by an invisible opponent in System X? Right? There are facts. You can find them in the rules. And so on. So on a forum, you're as likely to get someone's opinion about how it should be done, disguised as fact, as you are to actually get a fact-based response. And now I'd like to participate on this site more, but unfortunately the vast number of questions posted on a daily basis are for Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder, which, of course, on the initial thought is you would think is because there are so many more D&D and Pathfinder players out there, but is really more tied to the complexity of those systems and the difficulty newcomers have in making sense out of those rules. Add in second and third languages, and you can better see why more people are asking about them. Other games get the same types of questions, just in smaller numbers. And as there are fewer working parts in most of the other popular systems, the range of questions is more narrow. But anyway, letting someone make their own mistakes is only to their benefit. And if you think back to your teenage years and all the good advice that you got from your elders that you ignored, and then after you got into trouble you realized, that's what they were talking about. You can actually speed up progress of a learner by letting them get enough rope to hang themselves, right? To get into trouble in a session and actually need to come to terms with exactly what is wrong. Like, I don't know how to do this. So they go back into the rules, and maybe they still don't understand it. Then when they ask for your input, it makes sense. They understand exactly why you're telling them what you're telling them. The next piece of advice was to explore the rules as written. Right. Adding in some stranger's house rules to your game before you've even played it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Understand the game as written. Take the time, that's my third point, to understand the game as written. To do that is incredibly valuable. You learn how to learn. Right? It's all there in black and white. A classic example of misunderstanding the rules could be found in a lot of games based on skill use, right? So many people misinterpret something so basic as skill use in a game that it's a little surprising, right? Games like Storyteller, where people are calling for rolls far too often. BRP, where people are calling for rolls far too often, where people are not allowing the possessed trait to have any kind of impact in regular gameplay unless it's rolled, which is an explicitly stated rule. Do not roll unless, you know, there's some stakes worth rolling for. Just let it ride, you know. This is a mistake. This interpretation of must roll skill all the time, right? You have to roll your drive skill every time you get behind the wheel of a car in a role-playing game. You know, this is a mistake. It's a mistake that's factually contradicted in the very simple text of the core rulebook. Let people make their own mistakes. Let them have unsatisfactory sessions where players start to get upset that their character can't drive to the grocery store to buy cloves, cigarettes, so they can sit angstily in their apartment window while it rains. And they'll understand why it's necessary to understand how skills work. And then when you point out other game systems where this is true, your advice has benefit. The last piece of advice I had was to really take the time. Be willing to play a game long enough to really know it, long enough to internalize its aspects, or at least group them together into types of game and get used to running that type of game over an extended period of time. One session, or one series of sessions linked together into an adventure does not make understanding of a game system. So, started this all off by saying things are not always what they seem, and there was a reason for that, and there's a reason why this is a walk and talk video, even though it's not a video response. I'm going to be passing something in a moment, and there may be wind noise, and for that I apologize. But I'm walking up this street, not too far from where I live. So I'm coming up to a place that I'm not going to name. I'm not going to show you the sign either. But this metal wall you see, this is the boundary of their very peaceful, almost idyllic parking lot. You know, it's beautiful trees, and there's wooden picnic tables, benches, and there's quiet paths to walk along. Someone's coming out of there now. It's not open because it's Sunday. Some places take some Sundays off. Anyway, it's all quiet up in there. It's a meat restaurant. So you'd go there and you'd sit around a table with your family and friends, and there'd be a small burner or a charcoal pit in the center of the table for you to cook the meat on, barbecue the meat. And if you've ever been to a Korean restaurant, you know what I'm talking about. Now, this particular restaurant is all set outdoors. It'd be wonderful to sit under the trees and eat meat. And of course, if you're a local, drink, that sort of thing. Looks like a fabulous place. Looks can be deceiving. This is one of those places which serves dog meat. You heard that right, dog, D-O-G. Canine, four-footed man's best friend. Now, serving dog meat in and of itself, I don't really have anything to say about that. I mean, humankind is omnivorous. We're designed to eat meat and other things so that we can survive. So eating meat, I really can't get riled up about that. I can get riled up about inhumane things. So, actually, selling and serving dog meat in Korea is a legal gray area. Not out and out outlawed because they don't want to offend the traditionalists, but not legally food. You might ask, why? Well, before we get to that why, we also need to talk about the culture of shame which is attached to it. Koreans are very sensitive to the perception that other countries think it's barbaric that they eat dogs. And rather than enter dialogue about it, they want to maintain harmony. So you won't actually find dog meat on a menu, even on a dog meat restaurant. It'll be labeled euphemistically, a euphemism that everybody understands. That's the back of the restaurant over there, and it's a little idyllic setting. It'll be euphemistically labeled, usually some kind of health food soup. It's tied to quasi-mythological health food ideas that it will enhance the health, or it's traditionally eaten during the hottest days of the year, and its digestion is believed to be very simple and so not very taxing on the body because there's such a close affinity between dogs and men. And of course, this is really the crux of the problem. It's supposed to be easy and restful, a restorative to eat. And so the dogs aren't properly slaughtered as a meal, as you would with any other animal, with a certain degree of respect and a lack of brutality. No, they're tied up and they're beaten to death so that the meat will be tender. And it's that I have some objection to, you might understand. Things are not always what they seem. A simple health food soup may actually have meant the brutal death of a simple animal. Things aren't always what they seem. A system that seems simple on the surface may be surprisingly complex. The reverse may also be true. What seems ridiculous at first blush may actually make perfect sense in context. Be willing to explore these things. Get under the surface by yourself. Figure them out to your best of your ability, and when you have reached the end of your limits and can no longer progress further, then seek help. Do so by being willing to explore the text without changing it to how it superficially seems in the beginning. And be willing to commit the right amount of time to this so that at the end you have actually system mastery and you can take that experience into the next system you want to master. I hope this has been in some way helpful and that the middle section about the restaurant wasn't too disturbing.